apply, and we're good to go for the show. If the client or whoever you're working with wants to change that orange color there to like a slightly deeper, darker orange, then it's pretty easy to do that. And it affects all your graphics too, because it's sort of theme based and everything follows along. Yeah.
G'day, good people of YouTube. My name, sorry, one sec. There we go. Welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Summerfield. Thank you for joining. So we had to flip everything upside down here in Australia. It's just kind of a bit weird, but you know, it's all right. We're here. We are here. Welcome to Stream Day 2022. I'm pretty excited. I've been watching the streams live along with you all as well. And it's been really good. I've been really enjoying the content so far. I started at 3 a.m. this morning. Currently it's, what time is it now? 6 a.m. So it's a little bit more reasonable, but still a little bit crazy. But it is good to be here with you all. So today we are talking about remote contributors. Now, unfortunately, we don't have time to actually bring anyone in, but that is what we are talking about. Now, a quick intro about me. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more of this and more content along these lines. A bit about me. I am based in Sydney, Australia, which is why everything is upside down and all that kind of jazz. And I work in the TV and film production industry. So I work in live, I have a background in camera work and sound, and then I moved into broadcast and live streaming, and especially during the pandemic and stuff, I've been working a lot along the lines of doing remote broadcast because, as we all know, everything changed. So we were all trying to work remotely and see how we can do all this. So things like bringing in remote contributors was a very real thing. And so as like all of us, we all had to learn about how to do this. So it's been a crazy time, but that is that. And I thought actually it'd be a good time to announce that there's something new going on in my family, and we are having a baby, which is very exciting. So in September, there will be a little Ryan coming along, although it is a girl, not a guy. So, but I thought it'd be a good time to announce to my YouTube family that we're having a child, which is pretty awesome. But let's get right to it. And welcome to everyone in the chat here. It is so good to see you all here. We've got people from all over. Absolutely, flipping the whole world because, we're in Australia now. We got to do it the Australian way. Eric here with the super chat. Thank you so much. This is actually my first ever super chat. This is amazing. The running joke was hilarious and well chosen. Yes, I think it was well suited to do this. And the family grows. It does, absolutely. So thank you to all those. But let's get right into it. We've only got 30 minutes. I've got 27 minutes and 13 seconds left on my timer. So let's make the best use of it. So in the chat, let me know what kind of methods you have used in terms of bringing in remote contributors. I'd love to hear what you have done and different methods that you have done doing that. So for me, I have personally used Zoom, I've used Teams, I've used Video Ninja, I've used Livestream Studio. I've used vMix as well. A whole bunch of different things that I've used for contributing, which has been fun. Skype, yep, I'm seeing things coming in. So we got Skype, Restream. I haven't actually used Restream yet personally. I've been on a Restream call, but I got my sister who's also a YouTuber doing aquariums of all things, which is a bit fun. Zoom ISO, actually, yes, I have used Zoom ISO on a job recently. RTMP, yes. Actually also doing that too, but I'll be talking about that a bit later. SessionWire, that's an interesting one. I've actually heard of that one. And telephone with OBS. I mean, why not? Let's just go old school. This is great. So yeah, those are a whole bunch of different methods. Now, rather than focusing on, trying to show a whole bunch of different methods and how that can be done, we actually did a series with John about 9 months ago called Return Feed. And that was a 6-part series, I believe, where we went through a whole bunch of different methods and how to bring that into a hardware environment. I'll drop that in the chat now so if you want to check that out, put it into a list for you to watch later. There's a whole bunch of hour-long live streams that we did with John. It was actually a lot of fun. But what I want to show is that through playing with all these different methods, what I am currently using on a day-to-day basis and why I do it and how I've actually set that up. So rather than kind of doing a bit of an overview, I'm going to show you how I do my setups, and potentially if it's something that you want to do as well, you're free to take that on. Now, the system that I use primarily for live streaming at the moment is Video Ninja. So Video Ninja is a free open source platform for live streaming, and it's made by Steve Seguin. I believe he's in Canada, and he has been an amazing. He's done some awesome stuff. He super helpful on the Discord channel about answering any questions that I had. So he's been great. So I've been using Video Ninja as much as possible, apart from times where I'm working in a a corporate network environment. So for example, if I'm streaming someone in from, say, a school, a government network, or a very secure building network, that is where things can come in interesting, because so it is based on WebRTC, and that can be blocked in some places. So I am forced to use Zoom or Teams in some of that. I do a lot of streams for Microsoft, so obviously that's going to be Teams. And yeah, so it really depends on the client in terms of what is needed. But if that is not an issue, my first preference is Video Ninja. Now, why do I use Video Ninja? It's a really flexible platform. There is so much you can do with it. You can do that. It's one of these things where while you got Zoom, you got Teams, those are all very stable platforms. You are quite limited in how you can actually use it. So for me, having Video Ninja means that I have full control. As soon as someone's in the actual lobby, I can move them around to different rooms. I can change their resolution. I can change their echo cancellation on and off. I can change their, depending on their camera, I can change their white balance, their iris. I have a lot of control, which is a really awesome feature of it all. But yeah, that's ultimately the main reason, is that I have control. So what I would typically do in a live stream situation is, so say we're doing an event, and the client says, "Oh, can you send me a link so that I can send it out to all the guests?" So what I will typically do is set up a green room. It's just any old room, but that room will typically have a laptop or a person on a computer, and they will just sit there and wait for people to arrive. And as someone arrives in, they can go, "Welcome, g'day," get them up and running, adjust their camera, adjust their microphone, make sure they're sounding and looking good. And then at that point, we would then move them into a main stage. Might just be one, might be multiple, depending on what's happening on the day. So when we go to the main stage, we then have things called scenes. Now I'm going to pull up let's pull this up now and show you an example of what this can look like. So I'm going to pull up the screen, and so we'll go to video.ninja, and this is the site that you'll come up with when you get in there. So I'm going to create a room. I'm going to call it something really long and convoluted. And there's a bunch of different options. So things like guests can only see the director. Now, one thing to note with Video Ninja is a peer-to-peer system. Now, there is no server which is grabbing the feeds and then redirecting it to other people. So each feed will go from one person straight to the next person. And so if there's multiple people, that means person one will be talking to all other people in the room. So you will be using it. You will have to be mindful of that when you're doing this, because if you've got 100 people, for example, that's just not going to work, because no computer is going to want to send to 100 other devices. So what we typically do for this is that we will set a guest, can see the director, but no other guest video. That will mean that they can hear the other guests in the call, so they get a nice low latency call, but they would just see what the feed that I am sending them, or you are sending them as a director. So I'll just do another thing, and I'm going to draw in as a director. So now I'm in the director's room. I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. Now, here is the two main links that's going to happen here. So we can customize these links with a whole bunch of different tags, basically putting onto the end of the URL. So for example, I can go to guest C HD video, 1080p 60 if possible. And all this will, like, you can narrow this down and ask for like very specific resolution, very specific frame rates, and it'll give you that option. But when you set it to this, it'll go, cool, if your CPU and your internet and the connection is good enough, we'll go up to 1080p 60 if we can. If the device coming in is enough, then we'll do that as well. So things like that is super awesome. Things like Pro Audio mode, that will turn off all the echo cancellation. That will turn off the noise reduction. And that will just give you a stereo clean feed from them. Things like that are super important. Mini self view, like there's a whole bunch of different options that you can do. But what that will give you is a link. So say that this is the green room, we can then go into, and this is the link that we'll send to someone. So they will get a link and they can go join room with the camera or join room, do a screen share of a room. Now, depending on how much time we have, I'll show you. I'll share what I've been doing with screen share and stuff a bit later. But if I join rear camera, it's probably going to come up with my FaceTime camera. I don't even know what that is. Actually, that's a good point. This computer is actually, that I'm remote desktoping, is in another room. So all my streaming gear is in the room I'm currently in the studio. So I've kind of done a bit of a little bit of a shuffle around to make this work. Now, they can then select their camera and microphone, and they are all good. Now, I haven't actually done an actual setup on here. Like, this is just to show you the system. So right now, obviously, it's going to be a black video. But now they have come in and they are a person. So things that are super handy, if they haven't put their name down, they can go, this is Bob, so that you can keep track of who is who. Now, there's a whole bunch of different options here now for each person. But from a basic point of view, once they're in here, they're not actually going anywhere yet. There is a link down the bottom. So if I copy this solo link and paste that, I now have a full screen video of just that feed. And that can be put into OBS or something as a clean feed, which is super handy. But what I normally do is I will go into a scene. So what happens then is that when we're talking, when we've got someone in a room, they are in that room, and anyone else in that room, just like a Zoom call, will be talking to each other and act like that. Unless you've got the just show the director on, they will be able to hear everyone and see everyone if you've got that off, but otherwise it'll be a, just show the director's feed that you're sending from your director feed. Now, once you add a scene, that means that you can put someone into a scene, which the way I look at it is like basically add a hole somewhere. Now, when I'm looking at this scene, for example, I can go into customize. There's a few different things here, but typically I'll keep this all fairly similar. But what I will do is turn off auto add guests, because if someone was to jump into this call, we don't want that person showing up on screen. At that point, I will then copy that link and then put that into OBS. Now, I'm just showing this in a browser so you can see what's going on. So now that link has, it's blank. There's nothing in it at the moment. But if I go down to this scene, if I go add to scene 1, that scene has now appeared in that hole or in that scene, which is really, really handy. And if you have multiple people, you can actually do boxes. It'll actually animate between the two and do all that kind of stuff. So if you had 2 people, you can add them both into scene 1, for example. So what I will typically do is I have a MacBook Pro, which I've currently got sitting here at the moment, and I've also got a DeckLink Duo card sitting in a Thunderbolt enclosure. Now that enclosure has 4 outputs of SDI, and I will open up 4 instances of OBS, depending on how many I need. So if I need 4 outputs, I'll do 4, 3, 2, 1, depending on the need for that specific stream. And in each of these OBSs, I will typically do I'll just put a number on the output, and I'm using the DeckLink output in OBS just so I can ID which one's which. So right now I've got my second guess, I've just got a 1 in there just so I know that it's there. Then I will add a browser link to OBS. Now let's see if I can show you this without breaking everything. So right now I'm running, I mean, that's a good point. We're all here to show things breaking. That's the whole reason behind this. But I'll give you an example of what would happen. So right now I've got my chat overlay and HDR graphics happening in this other computer. So this is not the computer that I would normally do it, but it's the same process. So say this is number 1, I would go to my tools and go to DeckLink output, which has arrived on the other screen. There we go. So I've got an Ultra Studio 4K Mini in there, and then I would go and start that output. So I've already got it running at the moment, and that's currently overlaid on top. Now, if I was to add a new scene, so let's call this scene 1 guest. There is nothing there at the moment. Now, if I was to go to, it's probably still on my clipboard. browser. Now I'm just going to add a browser link. So once I got the browser there, which is going to cover my face with that logo, I'm going to load in that Video Ninja link, 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to control the audio via OBS. Now that one's important. It's probably going to cover my face now. Let's go see what happens. Okay, so no one's in scene 1 right now, but if I was to press this button, everything will disappear. And would also actually hear the audio as well. That is a very key point, is the audio is isolated per person. And it's amazing because it means that you can mix each person and get the audio as you like it. I can see Eric saying, yes, break it. You know, that's what we do. That's what we do. We're here to break things. We're here to have fun and we're here to break things. But that means that that person is now going into OBS and is going out that SDI line. Now, before I break things even more, so at that point, so I now have an SDI lead with video and audio of that just that one person. Now I can go into my switcher. So I have an ATEM Mini Extreme. I will go through and show roughly my H2R gear plan of my current setup. I'll go full screen so you can see a little better. So I have the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, which is the base of the setup. I have an X-Air 18, which is the audio base of the setup. So I'm not going to go into detail about this because I do talk about this in the return feed series. So check that out if you want to have a look into that. But basically what I'm doing is I would have, I don't actually have an example of someone coming. Okay, sorry. I got a MacBook Pro, we'll do a Thunderbolt out. Where's this one going? Yes. So I would have okay, sorry, let me start again. So what I would typically do would be a SDI feed going into a SDI to HDMI converter, just because there's a HDMI backend. That HDMI converter will go into an audio stripper, and then that will just grab the audio and put it into analog, and that analog will go into the console. Now that actually brings up the next big point of all this is audio and mix minuses. Now mix minuses is it's a relatively simple process, but it can be difficult to explain. Now the ultimate thing about mix minuses is that what we want to do is not send the guest themselves. Now in things like Zoom and Teams and even video, they have echo cancellation and it will probably be fine. But ultimately we just want to send them what we want to send them. Now the way I set up my rack is that all of my audio goes through the Behringer XR16. So, and then out of the ATEM, just a stereo feed into the mic in. So the ATEM doesn't do any mixing at all. So all of my mixing gets done in the Behringer. So I can show you a very quick overview about how this is done. I do have a video on my channel about explaining mix minus, but I will show you in a basic setting what I would do for a simple setup of just one person coming in and having their audio and me sending the audio that I want to send to them. And in this scenario, I have a Zoom computer or a video computer that is importing the video and audio that I want to send to them. And the audio is coming analog out of the XR18 into just a little audio to USB adapter. And that is the audio that I'm selecting. I'm not selecting the audio coming via the program video, because then we would have the issue that we're talking about. So let's jump into the Behringer here. Now it's a little bit messy just because I've gone through a whole bunch of jobs at the moment. But for example, here is my microphone. That's the mic I've got up here, and that's what I'm talking on. And then for the example, this is the guest. Now I don't have any audio going through there, but I will show you what I would typically do. Now I've got Lappy in, which is my laptop in, and video in. So right now I'm doing a job where I've got people coming in via video and I've got them going out to a Teams call. So I've got two different mix minuses and then a mix plus of all of them going to a record. So there's actually 3 mixes that I'm doing, but I'll show you just in a basic thing. So in the video in example, I'm sending them an auxiliary. Now, all of these are going to be, in terms of how I want it to be, in post fader. So for example, now the difference between pre-fader and post fader, on the audio at the main level, we've got audio is, sorry, it's blank. It's early, my apologies. On a mixing board, you would have your faders at the bottom. So if you think an old analog board, you have your faders at the bottom, which is your main mix, and then you have your auxiliaries as a something at the top, like as a little dial or something. Now, I've set up an auxiliary going to video in there, and so the video link is going to that laptop. Now, so since this is an auxiliary and since this is since this is what's it called? Since this is post fade, so on my main mix right now, if I was to turn down things, that would also turn down in the auxiliaries that has post fade turned on as well. So for this show, for example, I've just simplified things as much as possible. So if I was to mute my microphone, it would mute to you. It also mute to all the other people as well, or bring down the level, vice versa. So in video in, we can now build the mix that we want to send to them. So for example, video in, I want to send my microphone so I can talk to them. I don't want to send them themselves for obvious reasons. And maybe we've got some other people coming in, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm using Playout B for the video playbacks. Now this is a great opportunity to be able to bring the level down because for show, we want the level to be up and hot for that. But it means that I can give them a lower mix so they can hear that the music is going on, but I can still communicate with them. Ultra, I've got like the Sting audio and bits and pieces, but it means that I can build them a mix that is useful for them. And there's been times where they've gone, hey, can I lose the music? Or can I have more music? Or can I have more of each person? They have their own dedicated mix and I can give them whatever they want. Now, if I have multiple people coming out of Video Ninja, for example, it's the same process. In the Director's View setting into Video Ninja, I will send them just one feed. So that will be my microphone or anyone on the ground, plus any video playbacks, but not any of the guests, because they're all talking to each other in the video land or the Zoom land. So I'm hoping that's making sense. So we want to send them just the audio that they want minus anything in that platform. And yeah, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to hit them up in the chat. I'm trying to keep a little eye on that as it's going. We have about 4.5 minutes left. Man, that half hour goes so quickly. Aaron, I'm super interested to see how you go keeping that in the 30 minutes time, but that's going to be a bit fun. Yeah, so that is the main thing. So what I've done is I've gone Video Ninja, I've gone out SDI via OBS. You can do this just by a full screen output on a device. It can be a Raspberry Pi, it can be, well, the Raspberry Pi performance is a bit iffy sometimes, but it can just be a laptop with audio in and out. It can be a it can be a deck link like I'm doing here as well. There's multiple ways of doing that. And then once we've done that, we split the audio off into a console, and then the audio will be done mix minus in there. We'll run our mix back into the video machine and also into the console, into the ATEM, and that is how we have got our mixes so far. I'm going to jump into the chat and see what we're looking at. Also, there's a bunch of people chatting a bit earlier on. Mix minus needs to be a special stream to get into my head. That is, look, it's probably something I might look into at some point. That's because yeah, it is something that we yeah, it is hard to explain, but it does get there. I just realized that my chat is now. Hang on, 1 second. Hopefully that has brought everything back. We've got our chat. There we go. Beautiful. Now, John, here to record. Will there be a return feed season 2? I don't know, John. What do you reckon? Should we do another season 2? what do you reckon, chat? Is anyone keen for a season 2 of Return Feed? Crazy Caleb, you're one vote, so okay, there's one vote. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's probably something we can do. Crazy Red saying, watch your videos on Mixed Minus and have built my setup watching your videos. That's amazing. That's so great to hear. A lot of yeses coming in for season 2. One vote might not be enough. Oh, we got like 5 now, so that's pretty good. Return should be on Ryan's schedule. Oh, I wouldn't say no to that. That's I must say that last series every week being up at 2 a.m. was a little bit of a punish, but it was a lot of fun. Now we've only got about 90 seconds left. So next up we have Aaron Parecki talking about live streaming platforms, which I'm super keen to watch. And then obviously we're all coming back to have the panel discussion at the end. If you haven't yet, check out the website if you need to check out some of those links. And if you're just arriving, go check out some of the previous links. I was watching the whole way through, and there's some really good content in there. So, yeah, we've got 1 minute left. I'll give you so with this. So doing a stream for Microsoft at the moment, and I've got a guest coming in from remotely. And they just got their internet upgraded, so we're able to have a bit of fun with it. So they've got an A10 Mini Extreme A10 Mini Pro up there, and their camera's going into it. So what we've done is we're still using the Video Ninja backbone, but their camera is coming in via a streaming bridge. Now, as we found during Return Feed, that doesn't work well over long distances. So anything like halfway over the world or further does not work well. But for them, they're only 1,000 kilometers away, and I was getting a super clean feed from them. So that was really handy. Yeah, so that's another thing to consider if you want to do that. The other thing we were doing was with the screen share thing, because each thing comes in as a different feed on Video Ninja, that meant that I was able to get them to do a live scribe, for example. So they had an iPad, they were AirPlaying to their MacBook, and that MacBook was doing a screen share and sending it to me. So they were doing a live scribe from their studio straight to me, and I was able to put that on the screen. But yeah, we are out of time here. I have to send over to Aaron now. But thank you so much for joining me. And if you are keen to see more, please let me know and and please consider subscribing too. But thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.